Welcome to the Perfectly Imperfect Spiritual Podcast. My name is Marta and I'm your host, and I am so glad you're here. Before we begin, take a breath. There's nothing you need to do to be ready for this. Just settle in and let yourself land. Today, I want to talk about the body, about what it knows, what it has been carrying, and what it begins to do when you finally stop telling it what to feel. And I want to start somewhere honest. For most of my adult life, I didn't know how to listen to my body. Not because I was unwilling, because I didn't know what listening would even sound like. I had been taught, like most of us, to manage my feelings, to name them, to analyze them, to explain them, and if possible, to get rid of the inconvenient ones quickly. That is what I knew how to do. And alongside that, I had been taught to take instruction. When something was hard, find a method. When something hurt, find a technique. When you cannot sleep, follow a script. When you are anxious, do this breathing pattern. When you want to meditate, follow this voice through this visualization. There's always someone telling you where to put your attention. There's always someone telling you what to feel. And I want to be honest about what that produced in me. It produced a woman who could perform interiority without actually being inside herself. I could narrate my own life in calm, accurate sentences, and underneath all of that, my body was frankly exhausted because no one was home in it. This episode is about what happens when the instruction stops, not when you replace one instruction with a better one, when it stops altogether, when you take the voice out of the room and you let the body be in charge for once. I want to tell you what I learned by accident. A few years ago, I was at the end of something. I'll not romanticize it. Several things in my life had broken at once. And I was trying every method I knew to put myself basically back together. I tried the meditations I had been taught. I followed the visualizations. I did the breath work. I downloaded the apps. And I kept hitting the same wall. The wall was someone else's voice in my own consciousness. Someone telling me to picture a big beach. Someone telling me to feel grateful. Someone telling me what should be happening inside my chest. And the part of me that had survived everything I had survived already couldn't take one more person telling her what to feel. So one day, I did something quite simple. I sat down, I didn't put any audio on, no voice, no music, no timer with a chime. I just sat in silence. And I want to be precise about this because I truly believe that this distinction matters. I didn't sit in stillness. Stillness implies trying. For me, stillness feels as if we were forcing something. Stillness is a state you're reaching for, a forced quietness of the body and the mind. And I was not in any condition to force anything more onto my system. Silence is different. Silence is the removal of instruction. It is permission, it is space. It is the act of saying, for once, no one is going to tell my body what to do, not even me. And that distinction changed everything. In that silence, my body began to move on its own. I want to tell you how it started because I don't want anyone to imagine I planned this. My hands lifted, I hadn't asked them to. A sound rose in my throat, a sound I had no plan for. The part of me trained to be in control, wanted in that moment to stop it, to shut it down, to check what was happening, to make sense of it before it could continue. And something deeper in me said, let this happen. So I let it happen. And what followed over weeks and months of allowing rather than performing was a kind of return I didn't have language for at that time. My nervous system began to regulate in a way that no method had ever produced. My intuition sharpened, my connection to spirit, which had been part of my life since childhood, deepened in a way I couldn't have engineered. And none of it came through effort. None of it came through discipline. It came through removing the things that had been getting in the way. And I started to understand something about the body that I think most spiritual conversations skip over entirely. The body is wise, not metaphorically, actually. When you stop overriding it with instruction and mental noise, when you stop telling it what it should be feeling and what would be acceptable to feel, it knows what to do. It will move toward what it needs. It will release what it has been carrying. It will return to a rhythm that the thinking mind cannot construct because the rhythm is older than thinking. The body has been here longer than your sentences about it. And this is what I mean when I talk about the somatic intelligence of silence. The body heals through movement, it communicates through sensation, it processes what the mind cannot hold. And when you give it space, without agenda, without instruction, without anyone telling it what to feel, it will do things that years of analysis and trying could not achieve. And I want to say something to the women listening because this is where my work tends to land, well, especially in my mentorship sessions and the magnetic self love. A lot of us have been taught to be very good at managing our bodies from the outside. Smile here, do not cry, make yourself smaller in this room, make yourself bigger in that one, eat less, look more rested, be present for everyone else, be calm during the chaos, be agreeable when you're exhausted, be intuitive when it is convenient, and rational when it is not. That's exhausting. That is a lifetime of someone else's voice inside your skin. The work of returning to your own body is not, in the end, a technique. It is the removal of all those voices. It is the act of finally not knowing what you're supposed to feel and being okay with that and letting your own intelligence rise. The first time you sit in actual silence, this can feel uncomfortable. I want to name that because it is sometimes presented as immediately blissful, and it is not. The first thing many of us encounter when we stop the noise is everything we're using the noise to outrun: grief, anger, tiredness, old sensations that never had room to move. And that is not a sign you're doing it wrong. That is a sign the system is finally allowed to speak. And if you sit with it, what comes after is something I find very difficult to describe in words: a settling, a return, a sense that someone has come home to a house that has been empty for a long time and the house knows. I want to offer something practical because I don't want this to stay theoretical. If you have never sat in silence the way I'm describing it, you don't need a program. You need 10 minutes. You need to not be holding your phone. You need to not put a voice on. You need to not set a goal for the session. You're not trying to meditate. You're not trying to achieve a state. You're practicing the removal of instruction. So, if you've got time now, let's try it right now. Sit and close your eyes if it feels right. And notice that there is no one telling you what to feel. If your body wants to move, let it move. If your body wants to be heavy, let it be heavy. If something rises that surprises you, do not try to interpret it. Just let it pass through. You are not going to do this wrong because there is no method to do wrong. What I have watched in myself and in the people who sit in the spaces I now hold is that this kind of permission produces things that effort cannot produce. Tension softens, insight arrives, the relationship with your own body begins slowly to come back. So I am going to be quiet for a little bit and allow yourself to experience silence. Allow your body to move the way it wants to move, if it wants to move. Allow any noises, anything to come out if you feel like. I'll give you a minute. And gently come back to here and now. Silence, sitting in silence, maybe moving, dancing in silence, being in silence. It is, in my experience, the foundation underneath everything else. Before mediumship development, before any intuitive work, before identity work, before manifestation work, before leadership work, before any of it. There is a body that has not been listened to in a long time, and it needs the noise to stop. I want to leave you with a question rather than an answer. What would your body do if you stop telling it what to feel? What would your body do if you stop telling it what to feel? And you don't need to know the answer right now. You only need to be willing to find out. What became clear to me over time is that people didn't need more instruction. They needed somewhere safe enough to stop overriding themselves. And that is what the silent meditation became. The same principle I just described, held in a group field with my steadiness underneath it. So the work can go deeper than what most of us can hold alone at home. And then I also hold alignment space, which is the steadier weekly version of it, somewhere to come back to when life is asking a lot of your system and you need a space to land. You're welcome there. You don't need to be ready in any particular way. The silence will meet you where you are. Keep practicing being in silence on your own. And if you're being drawn to join any of my spaces, you can check my website, martademedium.com, and in the section meditations, you have a description of those 3 different spaces that I've created. One, it's called silent meditation. There's an open space and alignment space. Okay. Thank you for spending this time with me. If something here met you, you're welcome to sit with it before you rush on to the next thing. Not that I have to tell you what to do. And if you would like to keep these conversations close, you're welcome to follow along wherever you're listening so the next one finds you. And I'll be here again next week. Until then, take care of yourself. Take good care of yourself. Okay, bye.